I'm going through my journal on the clock app, but I want to share it here too. I don't have the energy to read it over and over, and like the emotional energy or the physical energy. So I'm just going to take all my videos and combine them into one and share my journal of what I went through and how I was misdiagnosed for so long when the symptoms were so obvious. I was just medically gaslighted. Or is it gaslit? Medically gaslit for so long. What was my first MS symptom? That's an interesting question. And now that I'm further down the road and the doctors have helped me put the puzzle pieces together, when I finally found doctors that believed I was sick, I now know that I have had MS for 15 plus years. And my first symptoms, it's hard to pinpoint exactly when it started, but my first symptoms was chronic fatigue. And not chronic fatigue like what I have now, but it was just really hard to wake up in the mornings. Like that, literally, that vague symptom would have been my first symptom of MS. My second symptom of MS would have happened 15 years ago this month, and I had given birth to my son, and it was about 3 to 5 days later, and my legs would go out from under me. Like I would just collapse, and they originally thought I had a blood clot, and they checked me out. Everything was fine, and for about 2 weeks, I just would have these spells where I would collapse, and we blamed it on the hard labor that I had with him. So after I had my son and that initial couple of weeks of my legs not working, I remember being in a lot of leg pain and back pain. I was constantly doing physical therapy. And when I would look up, I would pass out. That was my intracranial hypertension. I did see a neurologist for that, and they did a brain MRI, and it was clear, but that was because my MS was in my spinal cord. The vertigo was also, so I had the passing out when I would look up, and then I had like general vertigo. And that was my MS. And then I just like had all these general weird symptoms, like so many weird symptoms, and like low blood pressure, and I just felt terrible all the time, but I thought it was normal. I was like, I guess once you become a mom, you just feel terrible all the time. I mean, always felt terrible before, but I'm like, I guess maybe as you get older, you just feel terrible all the time. But I was working out, I was trying to eat right, I was trying to do all the things I could to have energy and spend that time with my son. Then I get pregnant with my daughter like 18 months later, and I had a rough pregnancy with her, but that was like, it was MS related in the way my immune system was responding to the pregnancy, but I wasn't having MS flares during that time. Okay, so I'm gonna start my journal readings. I started this journal in January of 2013, and I started it because I was already like just feeling off. I didn't really know what was going on, but in January of 2013, I started having more persistent vertigo spells. Mind you, I had them for years. Like I would have to pull over driving because I couldn't drive. My blood pressure was dropping. It was pretty wild. The year before, my grandma who lives with us had cancer, and she was really sick, and we would spend 2 to 3 weeks a month in the hospital with her, and we couldn't leave her because she had to have someone there to advocate for her. The amount of medical neglect that happens, whole other story. Anyway, January 2013, severe dizziness. I don't write a lot of words because I was so sick, but it's just my whatever. Terrible constant headaches, not getting better with medication. Went to the ER and had fluids and Toradol, but the headaches stayed. I remember when I was in the hospital with Mimi, I kept having all these fluke things happening. I remember being dizzy a lot of the time and slight headaches just about every day, but ibuprofen seemed to help. All of this was a lead up to my big flare that I had on May 6th. Ooh, but I go back to April 25th. I hadn't slept in weeks at this point. My friend passed away and I was throwing up with headaches so bad. I went to the ER and they put me in a deep sleep. I went home and slept the next day. I still have the daily headaches, but it's still tolerable. April 29th, my GP started me on Flonase to see if that would help with the dizziness, thinking that it was from my sinuses. But May 6th was the day that changed everything. Okay, journal reading part 2, May 6th, the day that changed everything. I woke up with 2 red swollen lumps on my neck, and I thought it was from the Flonase. Later that day, I felt like I had the flu again mixed with anxiety. May 7th, my best friend took me to the doctor, and I saw the nurse practitioner there. My symptoms were severe anxiety, neck swelling where the lumps were. I was severely tired. I was having severe chest pains. I was having cold sweats, face and leg spasms that were unbearable. I could hardly talk. My dizziness was worse. I was hoarse and I had a sore throat and I had nausea and stomach cramps. This is where things get really interesting. May 8th, 9th, and 10th, my throat got better, but all the other symptoms are a lot worse, which included my anxiety being a lot worse. Therefore, my treatment was rest, Tylenol, and therapy. It was that moment that it was written in my medical records that I was having anxiety that was causing my symptoms. I actually have those medical records somewhere. They, of course, didn't say that to my face so bluntly. May 11th, I saw the therapist, and he thought at first my last year mixed with me being sick was causing anxiety. By May 13th, I called my therapist again and got another appointment, and I was explaining what was going on. And at that point, he thought that maybe I was having something with my hormones going on. He didn't feel anxiety was the root of the symptoms, like what he received in my medical records. In this short period of time, I lost 10 pounds in 6 days. I would wake up dry heaving. My legs were jumping so hard in my sleep, my husband would have to hold me down. Severe anxiety, severe dizziness and vertigo. I was so tired, I would have to sleep all day. I was sweating constantly, but then I had a large ring around the lumps on my neck, and I was having constant chest pains, nausea, and vomiting. May 16th, I saw the OBGYN, and she saw the lumps and the ring, and I will add a picture in a minute. I don't know how to do it. Here, I'll add it at the end. She saw the ring and recognized it as a black widow bite, which she was not wrong. I'm running out of time, but how a black widow bite works is that it is a neurotoxin and it went straight to the brain. It was right here on my neck, and it activated my immune system to attack my body. Journal reading part 3. So the black widow bite ring took about 5 weeks to go away. That's just my own added. And my symptoms continued through May into June, and I lost 20 pounds between May and June. Okay, by June, I was starting to be able to eat again, but I was having trouble with foods causing blisters and hives. My doctor thinks that I was allergic to my bite and it was causing me to have food sensitivities, but they did prescribe an EpiPen just in case. I'm still tired, dizzy, chest pains. That ended up being MS hug. Ask me about that if you want to know more. Leg spasms, lots of facial spasms. I ended up with Bell's palsy. Nausea was getting better. I just feel fragile. Headaches are increasing at night, or if I do too much during the day, or I don't get good enough sleep. The bite marks are finally gone. June 13th, headaches, not sure if maybe migraines, all over pain and throwing up again. A few details that y'all don't want to know. The headache has stayed for days. Nothing is helping it. I'm tired. I cannot do too much. I can't stay up very late or the headaches worsen. Doctor says possible TMJ. My right eyelid is drooping in my eyebrow, and that never came back. Like, it's still, like, yeah. I hold it up. If you see it's up, it's because I'm holding it up subconsciously. By July, I'm having double vision off and on, having space spasms, face spasms, the headaches, sometimes behind one eye, that was optic neuritis, sometimes stabbing pain, sometimes pressure, that was intracranial hypertension mixed with the swelling in my brain from the MS lesions. I'm incredibly weak and I'm having so much vertigo. All of that last part, the July part, the double vision, the headaches behind one eye, and the weakness, all of that was optic neuritis. And I actually went to an eye doctor, and he said that I had really old eyes. I was like 23, 24 maybe. Go to the next part. Journal reading, part 4. Okay, so now we are mid and in July. I'm getting stronger headaches, but I can do stuff now. That's because you adapt. You adapt to a certain extent. You adapt until you get so bad, you feel like you're gonna die. Now we're down to about the 19th of January. Headaches, stabbing pain, hurts behind eyes, especially the right eye. That's the eye I've lost most of the vision in. In fact, last night I went completely blind in that eye for a couple of hours, and that's scary because that means my disease is still progressing. I need this medicine to work because it's going to progress, but it's progressing too fast. It hurts worse with activity. I'm having nausea. The nausea, oh my God. The nausea was because I was so dizzy from the optic neuritis. And the fact that my intestines had shut down and I didn't know that, and I was getting backed up, that's coming down the road. I had to have emergency procedures. But because of the nausea, and I was still having the symptoms from May, I had anxiety. And my doctor decided to treat my eye pain and my muscle spasms and my leg spasms and my everything with an antidepressant because I was depressed and had anxiety. And I took the antidepressant. And here's the list of side effects I had just from the antidepressant. That was part of the list. Fast forward 10 years or 9 years, and come to find out the antidepressant that they gave me, my body does not metabolize. It was dangerous that they gave me that antidepressant. One, because my body doesn't metabolize it. It came back on my gene site testing as not metabolizing, so I had severe side effects from it. But 2, I was actually sick. So I did end up stopping the antidepressant, and my doctor got mad at me. The next week in July, terrible headaches. The shooting and stabbing pain is unbearable. The vertigo is unbearable. Everything is worse with activity. I'm so tired, but now I'm having heart palpitations. And my face is numb. It brings up a lot of feelings to read this. July 22nd, I woke up to my face twitching, a burning headache. I went to the ER. The general consensus, I needed to get my anxiety under control, and I needed to see my therapist the next day because I'm too young to be having all of those symptoms. Okay, that's all for journals today. I can't handle anymore.